Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So here is a continuation of our previous tutorial on how to make a Basque backless bustier with gathers. If you haven't yet seen the drafting tutorial, I'll be leaving the link at the description box, or you can go ahead to check that on our YouTube channel. So to start, here is the fabric I'm going to make use of. I have 6 yards, but I ended up using 3 yards. So here's my pattern from the previous tutorial, and we have already gone ahead to cut this out. So I placed it on my fabric and I'm adding ½ inch all the way around. Now after adding this, I'll go ahead to cut this out. Now after cutting this part, I will also go ahead to add ½ inch on the other side of my fabric, which I'll go ahead to cut out. Now I'll use this to cut out the lining part of my dress. Now also go ahead to add ½ inch all the way around this pattern. Now after adding this, I'm just going to go ahead also to cut it just the same way I cut the other part. So you're also adding ½ inch at the lower part of this pattern because it will be serving as a joining allowance, which I also did at the other, that is the center part of the pattern that I cut out. Now moving over to the back pattern, I went ahead to place it on the fabric. Now if you notice, I added ½ inch at this side. This is because we cut out like a zipper bulge at the front part of the zip. So to avoid reducing the allowance by the side, I added ½ inch here. Now I also added ½ inch at the upper part and at the lower part of my pattern. Now I'll go ahead to cut this out. So I'll also be using this pattern to cut out my lining. Now here is my fabric and I have cut out my lining. I'm using a white lining because I have a touch of white on the fabric, and I'll go ahead to iron an interfacing on it. So here's my fabric and I ironed an stay on it. Now we're going to join this fabric together. So I'm not actually padding this bustier because I'm actually making it more like a ready to wear outfit. So what I'll do is to go ahead to pin this with my pin, and after pinning this side, I'll also go ahead to pin the other side of my fabric also. So I'll also go ahead to pin this side of my pattern just like I said before going ahead to stitch. So whatever I'm doing on the main fabric of this pattern, I'll be doing it on the lining. So after that, I'll just go ahead to stitch this with ½ inch and also at this side. Now here is the lining part of this dress, and I'm going to go ahead to join it also with ½ inch. I also ironed an stay to it, so I'll just go ahead to pin this at this point and also pin it to the upper part of my pattern. Then I'll go over to the sewing machine and I'll stitch it down with ½ inch. So I'll repeat the same thing by this side. Here's my main fabric and this is the lining. I'll place my lining and I'll go ahead to pin this, right? So after pinning it, pin to secure your lining to the main fabric. Then I'll go ahead to stitch with ½ inch at the side, at the upper part, and also by the side going towards the zipper, and I'll repeat this at this other side of my pattern also. Now I'm done joining the main fabric and the lining, and this is what I have. And for this part, I'm just going to go ahead to notch it all the way around. After notching it, I'm going to go ahead to flip it to the right side from the opening I have at the lower part of the dress. After turning the other one, I'll go ahead to turn this and I will go ahead to iron it out. Then I'll go ahead to keep it aside. Before that, I'll go ahead to trim off the excess I have here. So this is what I have. Now I'll be notching it so that I'll know the part that is going towards the side of my pattern. So now to work on the front part of my bustier, so there's no lights, I had to use my manual iron. I had to heat it up and I will go ahead to iron open my bustier. So upon I didn't pad it, you can see that it's sitting properly. Now after ironing this, I'll also go ahead to iron the lining, which I did already. What I'll now do is to place the joining at the upper part matching each other. Now pin the sides also, and after pinning it, I will go ahead to stitch. So where you have the joining on your lining should also match the joining on the main fabric. That means your measurement on the lining is the same with that of the fabric. Now after pinning, flip it to the right side of the fabric, stitch the side, the upper part and the side, and we'll be going ahead to notch it after stitching, right, so that it will relax. But before then, go ahead to iron your seam open so that your pattern will relax very well. So I'm just going to do the rest of the ironing off the camera. Another part you need to iron very well is to put your tailor's ham underneath your under bust and the bust area, and also go ahead to iron it open. I'll go ahead to iron this off the camera because there's no fabric under here, and it will be difficult for me to iron my bustier without placing it properly. So after I was done ironing, what I will now do is to go ahead to notch it all the way around. After I'm done notching it all the way around, I'll go ahead to flip it to the right side of my fabric through the opening I have at the lower part. So after turning it, this is what I have. I'll go ahead to iron out my pattern. So you can see that the cup or the bust area is sitting very well. Now we'll go ahead to join the front to the back, but we have to iron. But before doing that, I'm not okay with the basque I have. What I'll do is I'll measure up this side and blend it to pin it. Then I will go ahead to retrace the side. So when I'm recutting my basque, the waistline I'll maintain, that is at the side of the waistline, I'll still maintain what I have there, and I'll just chop or cut out the inner part. So after cutting, this is what I have, right? Now we're going to join the back to the front. Go ahead to take your back pattern, the part towards the zipper, you're going to pin it down, and not just pinning it down, you measure that your zipper allowance that you're going to stitch with. So when drafting, my zipper allowance was 1.5. After stitching, that is turning up, I'm left with 1 inch, right? So I'm just going to pin out that 1 inch, then go ahead to place it on top of my pattern, and I'm going to pin it down. So now, after pinning, let's go ahead to insert my measurement. Now I'll place my tape around the bust area. My bust is 33 divided by 2, I have 16 and a half. Now if I place my tape there, what I have is roughly 18 and a half, meaning I have 2 inches left. Take out that 16 and a half from that 18 and a half, you have 2 inches, and you share 1 inch on both sides. Now measuring my under bust, I have 16. My under bust circumference is 28 divided by 4, which will give me 14. If I remove this 14 from 16 inches, I have 2 inches, which means I'll share 1 inch on both sides. So that means my measurement is accurate, because when I added 1.5 inches for my sewing allowance. After using half inch to turn it, I have 1 inch remaining on both sides. So I'll now go ahead to mark that 1 inch all the way, starting from the upper part to the lower part, and I'll go ahead to stitch it. So after stitching, this is what my this is what my dress looks like. And now we are going to work on the lower part of this dress. So for this dress, when I was making it, I used my shoulder to waist plus extra 2 inches, giving me 19. So from that 19, I'm going to get the length of the dress, of the full dress. So the full dress length I'm using is 44 inches plus extra 1 inch, making it 45, which I'll be folding at the lower part. So I'll just go ahead to fold the lower part, and what I have here is 3 yards, right? So if your waist is larger, please go ahead to use 4 yards of fabric. My waist is just 28 inches and I'm using 3 yards. Another thing is to notch the center of your dress, and after notching it, I'll go ahead to run a gather stitch round. So now after running the gather stitch, remember that side that we notched, that is at the midpoint, place it on the center of your basque waistline. Now you're going to need your pin here because you're going to pin it down. Now getting to this side, I'll shift it out a little, the part going towards the zip, so that I won't have much gathers there, and then I'll start pinning this all the way from the back to the center of the basque. And you also be using the same process for the other side, so make sure that you shift and adjust your gathers so that you distribute it equally at the waistline of your dress. And I will go ahead to pin. So after pinning this, just like I said, I'll also pin the other side. I'll place the end towards the zipper of the other side and I'll pin. So after I'm done pinning, this is what I have. I'll go ahead to join with 1/2 inch. And after joining with 1/2 inch, what I'll do is I'll fold this over and I'll measure about 7 to 8 inches after the joining at the waistline. And I'll stitch with 1/2 inch and attach a zipper at the upper part of the dress. So after I'm done stitching, this is what I have. So after making this, I had to make a little strap. So to get this measurement, place your tape at the sides of your pattern, take it all the way to the neckline and to the other side of your body too. So what I cut out was like 2.5 inches on fold, making it 5 inches. So I went ahead to stitch it, and after that I'll pin this to both sides of my pattern this way. And after I was done sewing, this is the final result of the dress. If you find this tutorial very interesting and educative, please kindly hit on the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, leave your comment at the comment section. See you in our next video.